So when I can be free and I'll be balling, why should I tie myself down? Now, you cannot do good marriage or relationship as a young person if you do not have good models. Modeling is part of the pillars and foundation that makes a good marriage. And because they are celebrities, it becomes easy for them to quickly influence. That's why the Bible said a threefold cord is not easily broken. And the first cord is you, the second cord is your spouse, but you see the third cord is called God. That's the reason why a threefold cord is not easily broken, because the regulator or the regulator or the regulating factor in this relationship is God Himself and not me. Why do I keep self-sabotaging every good relationship I get into? You see, that's why it's called self-sabotage. It's because you actually do not know you are sabotaging it because you are doing it yourself. And the fact that you are realizing that you are sabotaging your relationships by yourself, that's the first sign that there is hope. I strongly believe that it's not just for praying in tongues. He can heal us. He can heal us from a broken past, broken upbringing, broken families, broken home, wounds that we did not even know that they exist. I'm serious. Because I was just thinking about it. All the teachings, all the principles we give for relationship, just thinking about it, to be honest, you see, but if you will have a good relationship or a good marriage, you must first be a good Christian. In a world full of confusion, pressure, and distractions, we help create content that gives clarity, direction, and practical wisdom that you can apply in your everyday life. So if you're a young person out there trying to figure out life, build a future, and stay grounded in God, then you're in the right place. Welcome once again to the podcast. Hello, family. Welcome once again to our channel. I will always call it our channel. You already know. It's all of us that have the channel. So do what to send to your friends, neighbors, families, any young person out there who you believe they need these things we are discussing here. This space is more about young people and key areas of their lives. Their faith, their work with God, their finances, their families, their businesses, their career, purpose, assignment, everything that's touching just the life of the average young person out there is what we focus on, giving practical wisdom that you can apply in your everyday dealings in these key areas of your life. Once again, you're welcome. So we've started a series already, and this is the fourth installment of that series that's talking about Gen Zs and marriage. Questions young people are asking as touching marriage, courtship, relationship, and everything within that space. So we've dealt with some very, very critical questions before now, and you can go back and watch any of those episodes. You'll be really blessed. So let's get right into it. Gen Zs and marriage, part 4. So we have a set of questions, so let's see. We ended last week by asking about, somebody asked like, why should I be committed when there are better people on the dating app? So we dealt with that. You can watch it in the previous episode. So let's start from there also. This one says, is it normal to be terrified of commitment even when you love someone? The word that is getting to me here is the word normal. Like, is it normal? If I want to pick that word first, it's not normal to be terrified. No, it's not normal. But does it happen? Yes, it happens. It happens. So is it possible that you can be terrified of commitment, or you're scared of commitment even when you love somebody? Yes. Reasons being that nobody can deny we've seen very bad and terrible examples and models for marriage in our society. Upbringing, sometimes not just even in our society, sometimes in the very house that we grew up in. We've seen very terrible models. Nobody can deny that. Nobody can deny it. And that becomes the first place and the first area or that sponsors fear for commitment, because the person will be like, I did these things I've seen, I don't want them repeating themselves in my life. And that's understandable. The second reason for fear sometimes is that the average young person likes freedom. And let's talk about it. We know ourselves. We like freedom. So when I can be free and I'll be balling, why should I tie myself down? This is the problem. You will not always be young. That's the problem. Second problem, you will not always be balling. And the problem is, by the time you want to now settle down after settling down is not an abrupt brake you just match. It's just like moving a car that is at top speed, then you just match brake, you will have accidents. Settling down is a process. It's a process. You can't just wake up one day to say you want to settle down. You've been practicing a lifestyle, a kind of life for the past how many years, then you wake up one day, you just step on the brakes that you are settling down. No, you can't do that. It doesn't happen. It happens, but it's going to be very difficult. So, but basically what we're trying to say here is the fact that people are scared of commitment because of various reasons. I just mentioned two to you. Sometimes what we've seen as the models while growing up. Secondly, we want freedom. We don't want to be tied down. We feel commitment will tie you down. What kills those things is, by the time, trying for the commitment part, by the time you've really sat down to have a proper thinking on the matter, it's going to kill that. The second one, where because of the models you have seen, is simple. You just find better models. For every bad model that there is, there's also a good model. So you find the good model and you attach yourself to the good model. Now, you cannot do good marriage or relationship as a young person if you do not have good models. Modeling is part of the pillars and foundations that makes a good marriage. Modeling. Now, the problem is, because of the social media age we are in, somebody can be 1,000 kilometers away from you and yet they are your model. Problem being that you can't even, and maybe they're not even good models. How can somebody say that they are in an open relationship with their spouse? And what does that mean? They can sleep around, I can sleep around, we'll have an understanding of it. And they are celebrities. And because they are celebrities, it becomes easy for them to quickly influence. That is not an accurate model. It doesn't matter how popular they are. It doesn't matter. That's not an accurate model. So, it is very possible to have fear of commitment, even if you love the person. So, with what I've said, what you want to do is to first go and find out what is the reason for my fear. Many times it will fall into either of these two things. Modeling, bad modeling you've seen, or just wanting to be free. So if you majorly, there are other things you can also find. Sometimes self-esteem issues are there and some other things, but you want to find out first. Why am I scared of commitment? Then you want to decisively deal with that matter. Decisively deal with it. That will help in that Please. Another question here says that how do I trust someone enough to marry them when everyone seems to leave or our world seems to be a place for cheating? How do I trust someone enough to marry them? How do I trust someone enough to marry them? For us as believers, that's why the Bible said a threefold cord is not easily broken. And the first cord is you, the second cord is your spouse, but you see the third cord is the man in the middle. It's called God. Because my spouse, God becomes that central point of connection. So how do I say it that doesn't sound somehow? I don't really trust my spouse. I trust the God in them. I trust that they have enough relationship with God and they love God enough not to hurt him. So therefore they will invariably, they are not going to hurt me. That's the reason why a threefold cord is not easily broken. Because the regulator or the regulator or the regulating factor in this relationship is God himself and not me. I'm not her. I'm not going to beat her, not because I don't have the strength enough not to do it, not just because I respect her, but because I fear God. So let's retract. How do I trust someone enough to, what's the word, love them, or to trust them, or to marry them? So what I trust is not necessarily the person first. I want to trust first their walk with God. So I'm asking, does this person have a walk with God? Is it a correct walk with God? Can I trust that walk with God? If I can do that, then I can trust the person. Because when the rubber hits the road, those are the things the person will fall to. It's not just that they have a fine face, they have a pretty face, they have a handsome face. No. Can I trust what they have with God? Sometimes if I can trust that, it means that I can trust them. So it means that me, myself, I must have built myself to the point where I know how to identify people who have something with God. This is what I'm saying now. See my pain. I'm feeling a pain now. The pain I'm feeling now is that people who do not know God, they are outside this economy. They are outside this kind of operation. And I don't know how to help them. The only thing I can tell you, know God first. It is easier when there's a threefold cord. I don't know how to help those kind of people now. But the only thing I can say to you as help, know God first. If you know him first, from there we can start growing in him then. So for me, I'm trusting my wife's relationship with God. And I know she has one. And I know there are some things that I will try to communicate to her and it's going to lead to argument she will not understand. But God can speak to her and I know she hears God, so God can tell her. If God tells her, it becomes easy to deal with. That's how we used to run it here. So what regulates us is not the next person. What regulates us is God. So we fear God more than we fear our spouse. We love God more than we love our spouse. And because that is done, we have no choice but to treat our spouse well. You get? That's a beautiful question. How do I trust someone who... This one says that, and this is where we're going to end. It's the final question for this episode. So I think we still have like 2 episodes left. Is it 2? I think so. think we still have like 2 episodes left. Yes, 2 episodes left. So be able to properly deal with this series. Okay, so this one says that, why do I keep self-sabotaging every good relationship I get into? Why do I keep self-sabotaging every good relationship I get into? You see, that's why it's called self-sabotage. It's because you actually do not know you are sabotaging it because you are doing it yourself. And the fact that you are realizing that you are sabotaging your relationships by yourself, that's the first sign that there is hope. Because many times you will not know it's self-sabotage except you are willing to now admit to say, man, I think I'm the problem here. And that's a good sign that you first realize that it's self-sabotage. But why do you keep repeating self-sabotage? It's because it's the only thing you know. It's not like somebody wakes up to say, okay, I'm going to sabotage this relationship now. Is that when there are issues or when there is pressure, you run into a space that is the only space that you know. Is that place you run into that sabotages the relationship. So for example, you're calling your husband to be or your spouse from morning till night. You're calling him. And he was not picking his call. Because of bad experience, you automatically run to that space when you now start thinking, oh, maybe it was someone cheating. Oh. Then before he comes, you've lashed out on him. You've dealt with him. You've spoken words. You've even sent message to his mobile. What if he was in a meeting and he forgot to tell you he was going to a meeting? What if it was with his boss and he cannot pick call what his boss is? It will sound like this or no, and he forgot to tell you. Well, you see, you've entered into that space that you know from or that you know of. Is the only place you know. That place of pain and hurt that, this one wants to cheat on me again. It's because it's the only thing you know. So if it's the only thing you know, it means that's the only space you will run into. How do we deal with such issue? You start rearranging your space inside, the things you know inside. So first, you identify there is a problem. You start looking for those areas of sabotage. Is it in conflict resolution? Is it in mannerism? You start looking first for the areas that this sabotage happens. If you have found that area, the next thing you want to do is to bring healing, teaching, dealings, information, knowledge, experiential knowledge to that area. So first identify what are the area or the areas for this sabotage, through which this sabotage is happening. There must be an area. Identify it, then you start eliminating it by knowledge. If possibly, speak to someone and who is ahead of you. I would always recommend you speak to people who are ahead of you in such situations. Speak to them. If possible, speak to a counselor. See a counselor. If possible, see a psychiatrist or a psychiatrist. Go for a therapy section. Also, speak to the Holy Ghost to heal you within. To heal you within. So find the areas through which this sabotage is happening. Find out what is causing it. Then you start locking it, you start healing it. And that is how you stop repeating that pattern of self-sabotage. So now when there's not a problem and when there is pressure, you have other places you can run into. I strongly believe that part of the work of the Holy Spirit that we carry, He can go into deep places and pour oil there to heal us. I strongly believe that it's not just for praying in tongues. He can heal us. He can heal us from a broken past, broken upbringing, broken families, broken home, wounds that we did not even know that they exist. They only manifest themselves once in a while when we express ourselves. The Holy Ghost, who is a master at doing jobs there. To come to the end of this episode, like I will say to you again, I know this is a relationship series, but somehow my heart is just at the place where I will tell you that you need to know Jesus. I'm serious. Because I was just thinking about it. All the teachings, all the principles we give for relationship, just thinking about it, to be honest, you see, but if you will have a good relationship or a good marriage, you must first be a good Christian. Just thinking about it, I know there are 1,000 rules, regulations, principles we can give, but primarily, foundationally, you have to be a good Christian. Thank you for watching. We've come to the end of this episode. I'll see you in our remaining 2 episodes on Gen Zs and marriage. Do it to share with someone who needs it. See you when I see you.